Hey, let's start. Can you hear me loud and clear? How's it going, everyone? Um, we're gonna do a different video today. There's something that I've been wanted to do for a long time was to give feedback on projects. Uh, One of the reasons was because when I start, I also receive a lot of feedback, but not specifically for making games, but for making 3D, usually in forums like Polycount and this kind of places. And I wanted to do the same thing here. So if you want to also get feedback on your project, let me know. And uh, just send me an email. I will put a link in the description there to contact.unfgames.com, and then you can just send your feedback. Okay, so first feedback of today is a game called Space Fighter. It's on itch.io, and I already downloaded. The problem is my screen space is too small. So he actually has a video where I want to show you how the gameplay is, okay? And we're gonna go through some of the stuff. I know he wants some feedback on UI. I was checking his profile and looks like he's really into UI and web development and this kind of stuff. But I think this was his first game, I believe. So not bad. In fact, congratulations for your first game. Not many people can finish a game, regardless of how big or how small it is. So let's go for it. Well, that's it.
Welcome, Captain. Get ready for a battle. Weapons activated. Let's begin. How may I help you? Control point. Applying.
It's nice you can just apply the best settings.
Game resumed.
But I've seen it in
Not
other
yet
games.
ready.
Oh, what's happening here? There you go.
Rocket launchers activating. Launching missiles. Rocket launchers activating. Power restored. Launching missiles. Power restored. Weapon upgraded. Rocket launchers activated. Power restored. Power restored. Launching missiles. Rocket launchers activating. Launching missiles. Complete failure. You are dead.
Sorry, what I was mute. So um, not bad for his first game actually. I really like the idea that he took it from the beginning until the end to just create something with what he knows. And actually he did a lot of nice things. It's just the execution of those things may be a little bit better. So I will just give feedback mostly on the UI because that's what he was asking for, but there are also some things that I can point out so you can make your game better. So let's mute this for now. The start, look, it's okay. It's okay. You can have your logo. I really like the idea that it's just explosion goes and bam, just like you start, right? I really like it. First thing here, you can have the logo here and the buttons. Just try to align them like this, all of them like this. Now, for me, it's a little bit too much to put all these buttons in one place. I will just put the most important ones in, like, in the middle, maybe. For example, start game, training room, and maybe quit game, right? Now, if you want like other settings, you can also put this as the main one. And then if you wanna check the credits and other stuff, you can put it somewhere else with different buttons, right? Like maybe a little bit smaller, maybe without the border, things like this. You don't want the idea when you make a game like this. The first thing you want is clarity, especially when other people play your game. You don't want them to be confused, because being confused is the thing that drive most people away from playing your game. At the beginning, it may be like, oh, where do I start, right? It's kind of obvious, like they will figure it out, but it's just nice to arrange these things in a way that focus only on the gameplay experience, right? I know, I think he has some experience with web development, and that's a good thing. But in case of games, you always need to be asking what's the main objective here, and is the feedback super clear? Like when I enter the game, I want the player to play, right? It's nice if you have other things like the credits and bug report and know more about the creator. But you can put them away as an optional thing. And then you can put the main buttons here, which should be like start game, the training room, the settings, and the quit game can also be here instead of just here. It's also a little bit confusing to have this kind of menu like this, like in the left or in the right, but it's nice you have a menu at the start. Now, at the beginning, I like it that he has some animation to start. Like, you know, it's normally when you create a game, like you just pop up like this, right? Like NPC. It's nice that you can put a particle. That means feedback. It gives feedback. That means like the game has start or will start, and you are this guy. Like, take a look at this, right? It is really important, because without that feedback, it's wrong. Now, the polish can be done in many different ways. Like, the idea is that you have the feedback. Maybe it can be a little bit different. Like, for example, the player just comes here and just show a laser or something. But the main idea is that you put the feedback there. Now, the objective, like, I will put the spawn of the player after the objective, and just so that you know, like, you can start playing. You see, like, it's like pause, right? So here is like the main menu. just I wouldn't put the controls and settings at the same time. If you want to put that, you can like put like a tab control here, controls here, settings here. You can press the R and L buttons to toggle between both of them. If you want. It's usually not a good idea in games to put the controls and the graphic settings in the same page because they don't do the same thing. Usually what they do is just separate them. If you play like a lot of games, you will kind of know this already. Okay, so first feedback. Let's just not talk about the enemies yet. Let's talk about the UI. I feel there's too many colors and too many textures. If you see like in the level 1, everything is like yellow. Some text is gray, which means yeah, it's not that important. Like, you know, it's the demo version. Like, you should just pay attention to this. Should pay attention to the score. Down in the bottom you have the HP, which the design may be questionable, but the thing is the execution of it. All of your elements like this, like the health bar and everything, should have like a border, should have like something to put inside, because if you just put it like that, you just like, you know, it doesn't look too good, right? Other things, the score should have a different color. I will put like everything in one color, like white, and then the score like put in like a different color and everything. So I did a Photoshop here, okay, and basically this is the original one. So what we will, the first thing I will change is this texture here. Like, usually if you want to put textures, make sure that you have some transparency behind it, right? So what I did was to remove this and put this thing here just so that I can have a background. And then I put this border here. Okay, now this border for me feels much better. And I can change the opacity of this. So for example, I don't know why Photoshop is lagging. Not that heavy. You can change the opacity if you want. Now, the good thing about, you must have borders in your game whenever you want to put something. It's nice that you put a border. Borders are really important because if you just put the text without a border, for example, like this, like it doesn't read that well, right? So you need to put borders in your UI every time you do it. And you can just play with the settings, like the opacity. Usually, like, you don't want to go to extremes. You don't want to go like this because that's like completely opaque and you don't want that. So you can just put the opacity like this, for example, like 80 something. And other things that border have are like lines. Take a look at these lines here. They are like, you know, separators. If you put the border without a line, it will feel a little bit weird. So every time you put a border, make sure you put a line there so your two borders are like separated. Yeah, looks like I'm freezing. That's strange. Let me see. Okay. Let me check the connection here. Hold on a second. That's weird. That's weird. How about now? Yeah, let me stop the streaming and stream again to see. Okay, so how about now? Looks fine. Looks fine, at least here. So I will just continue. Yeah, looks fine. Yeah, it's okay. So, uh, anytime you want to have a border here, you want to put a line here. Some examples of this, like for example, let me see if I can find this game. Hold on a second. Um, okay, I can copy the image here. That's good. Okay, so if you see here, like check this border here. You can see that it has like a small little line here. That really makes a big difference because it's like the separation of the border and the game. And also you can check here that they also have like translucency. So you don't want to be completely opaque, otherwise your game will look a little bit old school, you know? Like if you see old games, they all have like completely opaque borders. That's the reason is they cannot handle transparency very well. During that time, it was very expensive to render, but nowadays you have the budget to do it. So every time you put a border, try to put like transparency here, and every time you wanna separate something, just put a line. Just so you can just put a line here, another line here, and it just everywhere, right? For example, here the border is not super obvious, but you have the white line here that is working. Same here, and especially here, you don't need to close the border completely. You can have like different levels of thickness in the line. So if you check this one, for example, like this line has different thickness than this one, or the thickness I think in this case is the same, but the opacity is not. So the rest of the lines are a little bit like transparent, and this one is not that much transparent. So you can see that the borders actually help a lot. If you don't have the border here, it will be very hard to read. Now I know that he he did have a border. He did have a border here. It was just completely opaque. So by showing you this, hopefully you can see like the difference between having a border with opacity and maybe some gradients, and having a border where you don't have any of those. So that's why it looks like old, right? It looks like an old game. I don't know if that was the intention, but it looks old because you don't have the opacity there, and it just looks finer. Now, talking about some things here about the colors, you see that you have like different colors for the UI. You have like level 1 is yellow, score, everything, and then your power is like the speed shot is green, the rest is gray. That's good. And then you have like the health bar is like blue with red, and you have yellow. It's too many colors. So you need to reduce the amount of colors you have in your UI and prioritize them in order of importance. If you want to have like the score very important, try to have like bigger fonts there. Like for example, the number can be bigger and a different color. And the dark targets, I'm not really sure what those are. I believe it's this big guy here, maybe. But if it's important, maybe you can have another color for this, right? So going back here, I put some text just to show you how it will look like. What I changed was I changed the color here. I put everything white. Okay, I put everything white so that you don't have like yellow, for example, and then this is technically a white color. Technically, it's just with different lightness, but you don't see much color. So if you want to highlight everything like green, like this power shot, it's like, okay, my color palette is using like greenish tones, so I will put the important elements green, right? And another thing I did, it was I changed the size of the font for the score. If you have the score like this, maybe you can like make the score bigger so it's more obvious. Like if I put the same size here, like for example this one, you will see that it's much harder to read compared to this one, right? So having like a solid color actually helps, and only put another color for things that are more important in your game, such as the score and the targets. The level is not that important because even though it gives you information about the game, it's not something you want to keep reading. So, but these ones you do. So if you put different colors on this one, like it will actually help. Okay. The next thing is actually the health bar. Like it has the same problem as the border, which don't have a border line. Usually have the fill line and the the stroke and the fill line. So those two things you can put in your game that are very, very important. Like compared to web development where you will just put the buttons there. In games you have gameplay, so things are moving around and everything. So you need to have things a little bit more clear compared to traditional UI. So in this case, the energy bar is like this. Personally, I wouldn't use the roundy shape. I think you can try to find other shapes, but in this case, I didn't change it. So if you check the energy bar, I have a border here. this black line is my border. I also have like a shadow here, like a bloom, so I can have something behind this. Otherwise, it will just look a little bit weird. And also the energy, I have like a drop shadow here so that it can be read from distance. So for example, if I move this thing and I remove the shadow, it's much harder to read, right? But if I put the shadow here, because of the contrast, it's just easier, right? Now, it's different, like it's simplified, but it actually, I feel like it looks better. So if you take a look at this, and I don't know if I have a screenshot of this here. Yeah, I do. So compare these two together. One thing, I don't know if you put this bar intentionally, but I feel you shouldn't. And I don't know if I feel like the black ones will be like from YouTube, so I will just cut them like this. Okay, so in this black line, I don't think it helps. It's like you're playing with perspective here. Like, oh, this is on top of this. Like, that's okay. But I feel like this one looks much more modern. It can work. It can work quite well. Honestly, it's much more clear. And I can put other text here if I wanted, and other kind of information, but just make sure that the information of the score, the dark targets, that I'm not really sure how it affects the gameplay, but I guess is important. They cannot stand out more than the score and this one. Otherwise, you're gonna have conflicts with gameplay and people won't be able to know what they should do. Now, you may think that it's very simple, like you have the score. Even if I lower the size of the score, you will see it. It is important, but you want to make it as simple as possible for people who play your game. Like, as developers, we mostly make the mistake that, no, if I understand it, maybe other people will, because, you know, I created it, it's obvious to me. But for other people, even if they get it, you want to get it like at the first shot, and you want them to get it fast, because if they don't get it fast, they get confused, and if they get confused, they close the game. Okay, so you want to make these things a little bit more clear. So other things I want to touch about, that's about the UI. Let's touch a little bit about the gameplay. Same thing with UI. Notice that clarity is the most important thing for games. If you put different colors for the enemies, they must mean something, right? I'm not exactly sure what it means. So far, I see the black ones go faster and the white ones go, you know, slower. So that's what I would think. If you want to put different colors, make sure that there is different patterns, different mechanics. Maybe the black ones go in a diagonal way, or I don't know, right? So you also want to balance things out in a way of, you want to make it difficult, but you wanna make it fair too. And the biggest trick is that you want to make it look difficult, but it's actually easier than what the player thinks. That's where he thinks like, oh, I'm a genius, I finished this game and you didn't notice, right? So the way to do this is like to balance things out. You can make the enemies go slower, some of them, and make other ones not spawn in the same ratio. Like, if you want to make someone stronger, Like for example, obviously the red one goes faster. You don't want it to appear all the time. You want it to appear less time. Like it will make it more special, right? Like the big ones. The big ones don't appear all the time. Imagine having the big ones all over the place. Like it will be impossible, right? But I think the big ones are having like a nice respawn rate. But the black ones and the white ones, they kind of spawn like at the same time. So I really don't feel the difference. So just make sure to balance things out. As far as the feedback, I love it. Like even if I put volume, it's even better.
Failure. You are dead.
Like the sound effects, everything, the spawn
System
particle,
activated. Begin.
the transition between the opacity of the map and the menu is nice. The sound, I think you need to have a sound for heat. I'm not exactly sure, but there should be some kind of feedback. Just maybe you can try some camera shake effects. They work. They just don't overuse it. Otherwise, you will have like this all the game, and that's not good. You can have some post-processing when you get hit. I believe you do have when you get hit. Like yeah, something like that, like a flash or something. Like it's nice. To be honest, the feedback is quite nice, especially because you one hit the enemies. You don't really need the hit feedback that much. So it's nice. It's nice that you put a particles when the enemies die. Do not underestimate how important feedback is for every little detail of your game, right? Like if you're making a shooter game, how do you want the player to feel when he shoots? Like, oh, I want to make it feel like it's heavy. Oh, okay, so let's put the bullets lower. Let's play with the camera a little bit, and when it hits, like it actually like totally destroys it, and you can see like the spaceship go away. Or maybe you want the feedback, oh, this bullet is not that strong, so I shouldn't be doing much, and then you tweak the camera shake to adjust that feeling. So it's all about the feelings you want to convey to the player. A lot of game developers make the mistake, especially because they come from a programming background where everything works and that's it. In games, it's not only everything works, but it also needs to feel right. It also needs to convey feelings. And I think you're doing a great job on putting the sounds and all the feedbacks there. Of course, you can change the feedback for something better, maybe better particles, maybe like you can make it better, but you know, it's nice that you have it. It actually helps a lot. So I checked his channel here, and he actually, this game was from 6 months ago. The last one, I feel he has done like a better job. Like you can see he has improved quite a bit in his UI. Like this is press any key to skip, very nice. Like let's just like everything. You have much more organized menu. You see there like the borders and everything. I feel it looks much cleaner than the game you showed me. So I can see that you have made the progress a lot there. So that's nice. That is, it's nice to see the progress. There are a few things you can change, like the icon on the computer and this kind of stuff. But generally speaking, I've seen that there is some improvements. And yeah, it's nice. I never thought someone will be so interested in doing UI, but apparently there's people there who actually do UI. I guess it's because of your background in web development, maybe, or I'm not sure. But anyway, I think this is it for the feedback session. I think we touched a lot of topics. I will put the before and after here together. I will put them like this. There you go. So before and after. Hopefully this help you to get this feedback from him and actually apply it to your own projects to actually improve them by applying these principles. You will see that these principles will be said over and over and over because it's really what it helps there, like to make these games better. There is a framework to make them. There is a way to make them better. So if you are interested in learning more and you're new to the channel, we can connect by subscribing so you don't miss any videos like this. And if you want to learn more, we have a course to teach you how to create a game from scratch using the same techniques that they use in AAA industries to create games. So you can have like nice workflows, you can learn how to program and all this stuff so you can make the games the right way. If you want to level up your game, you can check it out. But if not, feel free to browse our channel for plenty of resources. We have a lot of tutorials on blueprints, VFX, environments, any kind of tutorial you can imagine. You can kickstart your game career just with our free content. So hopefully you enjoy this session. If you want to get feedback on your projects, make sure to send an email to contact@unfgames.com, contact@unfgames.com, and you can send me your game projects. I can play them. You can send me screenshots, videos, anything you feel like you can show. You can send it there and we can do a feedback session there. So I'm Mao and I will see you in the next one. Bye.